mean, the other day a client emailed and she goes, "So I've done this." And I said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it." And that's what they want to hear, because they are so busy at looking after their own patients and trying to run their clinic. They just need to go, "Okay, I know, I'll send it to Arpana's team, it will be taken care." And if we need information, we just send a gentle email that, "Okay, we need the information."
Yeah.
We do train our clients so that the processes are standard.
Yes.
Because educating, a lot of people say sometimes clients don't do things, but we believe in education, not only for our team, but we also educate our clients that if you start doing this, a lot of processes, unnecessary processes will be cut, and we can be more efficient.
Are you struggling with your digital marketing efforts? Do you want to simplify and automate your marketing process, but just don't know where to start? Well, look no further, my friend. Simple Marketing Solutions is the podcast for you, and I'm your host, Ameeta, who will guide you on a journey towards marketing success for your business. This podcast is the ultimate destination for small business owners just like you, who are ready to be inspired with their digital marketing efforts. We bring you the experts who share strategies and advice that works. So tune in every Wednesday to the Simple Marketing Solutions podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And let's grow your business together. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you're notified every Wednesday. Also, if you do know 2 to 3 friends who would benefit from listening to this podcast, I would greatly appreciate you sharing the link with them. The more people that are getting this advice, the more that we can succeed together. And this week, I would love to introduce a special guest onto the show. She has become a great friend and is an amazing accountant here in Melbourne. She's here to share her knowledge on how to avoid getting audited by the ATO, which is advice for allied health professionals. In this episode, Arpana Patel breaks it down to the 5 fatal mistakes that she's seen allied health professionals make when it comes to their accounting and taxes. Arpana is a highly acclaimed, award-winning entrepreneur who possesses remarkable expertise in the realm of small business taxation. You will love her magnetic personality just as much as I do. She really has the knack for demystifying those intricate tax jargon and really making it easy and understandable for everybody. Arpana's true passion lies in guiding small allied health clinics on their journey from humble startups to achieving 7-figure businesses, a field where her expertise truly shines. At the heart of Arpana's mission is an unwavering commitment to nurturing financial literacy and empowering small businesses. Hello, Arpana. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad that you could be here with us today to share all your expertise with our audience.
Thank you so much, Ameeta. It's really wonderful to be on your podcast.
I'm excited. Arpana, before we get into everything accounting, helping our clients, I would love for you to just let the audience know a bit about yourself.
Sure. So I help poor-time allied health professionals and lawyers to get on top of their paperwork, either by processing the whole entire financial systems, either on-site or off-site. So we only serve lawyers and allied health professionals.
Okay. And that's a very specific niche, which is fantastic. With getting into working with that specific niche with allied health professionals, for you, what have you found to be the 5 biggest mistakes that they make when it comes to their businesses?
So I've been working in this allied health industry which is more exposed to ATO audits. We have found that the 5 biggest mistake, and I'll go through one at a time and explain a little bit about it. So the number one mistake that we find when most clients come to us after leaving their current accountant is there's a presumption that there is no GST on any psychology fee, any social work, or speech pathology. To an extent, it is correct, but there's a second layer. So in theory, I'm just going to go a little bit detail, Ameeta, so audience do understand this.
Absolutely.
Allied health services is specifically exempt from GST by our legislation. Okay. Usually, if you look at the GST Act, allied health services are not exempt from GST. But then the government has introduced this new legislation and saying that all allied health, because to promote mental wellness in the society, they say that, okay, allied health services will be GST free. So the most common thing that a lot of allied health professionals are making is thinking that counseling fee is GST free. It's not. Counseling is not a GST free. To have a GST free allied health service, you have to be part of, I've forgotten the name of it, but the Standard Council, which most of the psychologists are, and that's why they are called doctors.
Yes.
While counseling is not a registered service. So if you are providing counseling services, you immediately have a look at your Helixi or Power Diary and get a proper advice from an allied health accountant and determine whether it is GST free or not. And then the second layer, so we have established that social work, psychology, and speech is GST free.
Yeah.
Then the second layer that ATO puts on allied health is, the first thing is you figure out whether your service is GST free. But the second is who the supplier is. So if your service is providing, if you are providing your service to an end consumer, and when I mean end consumer is your patient or your client. Yeah. And just for this purpose, we are going to say patient. So if you are giving direct services to your patient, it is GST free. If your fees are covered by private health insurance or through NDIS, it is definitely GST free. However, if you are providing your psychology service or speech or any sort of allied health service to a school or to an organization like sporting or to an corporations to promote the well-being, it is not GST free. And this is where a lot of people are making mistakes.
Yeah.
ATO is smarter. Like, I mean, look, ATO wants its money.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know, what happens it's our human nature. We see the first part and we go, okay, there you go. It's not GST free, but we do not go to the second and the third test. Yes, exactly. So, and that's why it makes a difference to make sure that you go to a tax advisor who is specializing in a certain industry. So that's our most common mistake that we see with GST. Now, there's another mistake that they make with GST is reports and non-attendance fee. So reports are sometimes not GST free. Now, I'm not going to go more into detail, but sometimes reports are written for some other purpose, which is not part of your NDIS plan. Reports do attract GST. Okay. So the matter is quite complicated. So you have to really sit with the clinic and just go through each and every service and determine who the supplier is. And, you know, so I think that is quite overwhelming for any clinic to even understand just the basic GST Act. The second mistake that the clinics are making is usually most of the clinics, the way they are structured, they either have employees and subcontractors. In this market at the moment, because human resources are quite tight, a lot of clinics are employing subcontractors. Yes. So this is the second and third mistake, which I'm going to combine together.
Okay.
So the second and third mistake that the psychologists or the allied health clinics are making is they're not understanding the proper relationship between a subcontractor and the clinic. So, for example, if I am a contractor of, say, holistic clinic,
Mm-hmm.
right, and I'm providing a service to the patient.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing to understand in here is who is invoicing the patient. Is it the
Yes.
clinic invoicing the patient, or is it the subcontractor invoicing the patient? And this will determine whether GST applies and what kind of contract it is.
Okay.
Right. So most of the time, a lot of our subcontractors are not directly invoicing to the patient, but they are employed by the clinic to provide a service to the clinic's patient. It's very, very critical to understand this relationship.
Yeah.
So what happens is the clinic, so what happens is the subcontractor will invoice the clinic for the work. Usually the range is between 65-30, 70-30.
Yes.
So when the clinician or when the subcontractor is invoicing the clinic, what they are doing is they are only putting GST on the 30%, which is the management fee.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually wrong. The GST actually goes on the 70%. And this is the biggest shocking thing when we tell our subcontractors, and they are going, hang on, we have lost all this money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this kind of information, either a specific tax lawyer can tell you or a specific accountant who are specializing in that area.
Okay.
And I do run a lot of workshops for psychology clinic, for speech clinics, explaining to the subcontractors, because it is quite a shocking when they learn that the GST is on the 70%, not on the 30%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very important to understand that. And as I said, I'm combining the second and third. So the third one is usually as an employer, as a contractor, we have contracts between the employer and the employee. So that's called employment contract.
Yes.
And we have the same contract between the clinic and the subcontractor.
Yeah.
What does a contract do? A contract defines the terms and condition of the clinician and the clinic, right? And it got all sorts of terms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, ATO is very smart. So last year, this major case came, and actually I wrote the name somewhere and I've forgotten the name, but it is on my the document that I'm going to give you.
Okay, I'll share that with the audience.
Yeah, it was a major case, and ATO actually lost that case. So what happened? ATO was unfailed to declare that the contractor and the employer relationship was an employee. It was a pure subcontractor. So they failed to prove that in the court. So naturally, it made ATO very angry. And ATO has taken out another legislation from last year. Okay. And the legislation specifically said that if your subcontractor contracts are not tied and it does not take consideration of those 7 elements that should be in the subcontractor contract, then ATO will deem your contractor as an employee. Okay. So then people ask, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is if your subcontractor is deemed as an employee, then you have to pay superannuation. So you are in breach of Superannuation Act. Then you have to pay workers' comp. So you're in breach of Workers' Compensation Act. Then you might have passed the threshold and you have to pay payroll tax according to the state. You're a breach of payroll tax, right? Then there will be PAYG, ATO. So you're a breach of PAYG. So
wow, it adds up.
Exactly. And once it's deemed an employee, you are kind of in a very, very, very worse situation, because now it's one act after another act, you can be sued.
Yes.
And the biggest act is superannuation, because Australia promotes superannuation. Yeah. You haven't paid superannuation for God knows how many years that contractor has been with you. So everything is backdated. So if you had a contractor for 10 years, I mean, you can imagine how much money we are looking.
Yes. Yeah.
And then all this audit work and all that is the cost raises, right? So this is the third mistake that we see. So usually we, I'm not sure whether you're aware, but we do have a legal division,
Yes.
our sister company, who specifically does contracts only for allied health professionals, making sure that those 7 elements are in place.
Yeah.
If the 7 elements are in the contract, because of the last year's case that in the High Court, now ATO cannot go beyond the contract. So if you have those 7 elements, you are pretty much in a safe environment. Even if they take you to the court will prevent them to look outside the contract.
Okay, well, that's really good to know.
Yeah, so that was like a biggest advantage for people, for allied health clinics, and for lawyers and whoever's hiring subcontractors. They just have to make sure, the employer just have to make sure that the contracts are pretty much tight, and then they cannot go beyond the contract.
Yeah.
So this is the most important thing, having that understanding between your subcontractor and your clinic relationship.
Yeah.
Extremely important.
Yeah, and I definitely think that there would be a lot of clinics that don't understand the intricacies of that, or are not even having that open conversation with their accountants, and getting that detail of information that's going to help them make the right decisions for their business, and prevent them from,
Correct,
later down the line being sued by the ATO or being audited and having to go through that stress as well.
Correct. Because it is quite a lot of stress when you are caught under the mistake 2 and 3, because that's just basically, you are like literally you have to shut your clinic just to pay all these things. And then again, there's other penalties. We haven't even gone into penalty side of things.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's very important. And the thing is, we are not specializing in everything. So I wouldn't expect a clinician or a clinic to know everything, right?
Exactly.
And that's why we all specialize in all our fields. So you should definitely get the right advice from the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we've gone through 4 of those mistakes. Number 3. Yes. So what is number 4?
Number 4 is the reconciliation part. So usually our clinics use either Power Diary or Helixi. Helixi is like a dominating.
Yes, it is quite popular.
Very popular. A lot of my clients are just using Helixi or Power Diary.
Yeah.
So what happens is, when we take over accounts from other clinics who have come through us, we have seen that previous accountants have not reconciled between Helixi income and between Xero or MYOB, depending whatever the bookkeeping system is. Because you have to understand, your Helixi is not a bookkeeping system. You have to keep a separate bookkeeping system, right, to capture the purchases side of things. So what happens is, say, for example, if there's an ATO audit, right? And we say to the ATO will say that, okay, I want to see specific invoices. How did you reconcile the income received in the bookkeeping system? I'm just going to use Xero. So how did you reconcile the income that all the money came through the bank in Xero? And how do you match it with Helixi? Right. So Helixi is your sales kind of system where you raise invoice, where we can do the testing. Xero is more of a reconciliation type. So ATO is not much interested in the Xero side of the things, right? But we still have to show that, okay, if Helixi says for the whole year, your income was, say, $500,000, and you go on Xero, which should be your mirror of your Helixi, is showing only 250,000, boom, where's the other 250,000? Right? And it can go the other way around too, of course. But so this is where, our team always, every end of the month, we pull reports out from Helixi and we match it with the money that is coming from the bank.
Bank.
Because Alexi doesn't receive FPOS, it comes in the bank.
Yes.
And the
correct.
bank is connected with Xero, MYOB, or whatever systems you are using.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important not just to credit sales and not do any reconciliation on the sales side. Because if there's an audit, we will need to prove that Xero's 500,000 matches with Alex's 500,000. Otherwise,
Exactly.
We have either done the GST wrong or we have done something wrong. So that's very important. And a lot of people take this lightly, but it's a good check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at least you're safe. You've done all the right things and everything matches up as well. Because then even at the end of financial year, it makes things a lot easier if that's been tracked every month as well, right?
Yeah. And you are mirroring your bookkeeping system with your Helix, only the sales part I'm talking about.
Yes.
So you're mirroring, so you think, okay, yes, we can show you. If these are less than $1,000 difference, it's acceptable, but you can't have like a 500,000 or 20, 30, 40,000 difference.
Yeah.
And also another reason you would do a check is to ensure that all the money that is in Helixi marked as paid, we have actually received the money. Right? How would you check?
Yes.
So you have to check through bank account, right?
The bank, exactly.
Sometimes we have admins who have, maybe they are new admins who just marked some invoices as marked.
Yeah.
And yet we haven't received the money. And and every month this check will say, we usually go back to the psychologist or the clinic owner and say that, hang on, it's not matching because we have only received 10,000 and you are saying you have received 12,000. We haven't. So, it's kind of a good check for them.
So it's good to have that second set of eyes. And I think that as allied health professionals or any business owner for that matter, it makes a difference when you don't feel like you have to manage it all and you have to be that accounting expert. You have to be the tax expert. You have to be the law expert.
Exactly.
You've got somebody else there that understands exactly what your business is about and can support you day to day with managing all of that.
Yeah, correct. And, it just helps because the clinic is growing. There's number of transactions going. Having a second set of eyes is just makes it easy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's so much to manage within your business as it is. So one less thing to worry about is a great help.
Exactly. And the last mistake, it's self-promotion, I think. The last mistake that I usually see, and I'm talking from experience, and not only one or two experience, we have had 20 years of experience doing this. And I always say that choose the right accountant for the right industry. And, because if you have chosen the right accountant, then 4 mistakes above will be eliminated. True. Right. And I always say that only choose the accountants, interview your accountants as well. You both should be the right fit for each other. Accountants are long-term relationship. You can change a bookkeeper quickly, but to change an accountant, it is quite a process because, they know your history from the start.
Correct.
Yeah. So I always say that, choose an accountant. If somebody said that I only specialize in allied health and legal, there's a reason why they specialize in that because they only know that industry. So if you take my example, I have no tradies on my database. And if somebody calls, I would say, I have no idea about your industry, about construction or anything like that. I have no idea. I won't be able to add any value to your business. And therefore, I don't take clients. If I can't add value, then there's not much point. I mean, tax advice, anyone can give it to you, but if it's a specific and specialized industry advice, it adds value.
And, that's a good point, Arpana, because I think that as business owners, again, we don't realize that there can actually be a relationship where there's added value from your accountant. We just expect that all it is just do my books, send everything to the ATO, get all of that done. But to actually get more value from your service,
Yeah.
I think that that's something that needs to be spoken about a bit more. And I would love for you to, give us a bit of an insight of what that could look like in terms of added value. What would be an example?
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about myself because I'm not sure about
Yeah,
other accountants.
yeah,
So
sure.
most of our clients are on monthly packages. They
Mhm.
are all allied health professionals. So, what do we want? We want a stress-free life. We want a peaceful night's sleep, right?
Yeah,
So for me to have, or for my client to have that, they outsource all the entire financial services, whether it's bookkeeping, payroll, BES, everything. So every month we are kind of working with the client. There's emails going, there's quarterly checking happening. I would just usually send them an email and I say, look, hi, hello, it's been quarter. Is there anything you want? Is there anything I can help you with? And it's all included in our package, so all the services, so there's no extra. They know it's a fixed money every month, so it's better for the
yeah,
cash flow.
yeah,
But what I have heard from my clients, the feedback that we have received is that it's very instant. So if you send an email to us, instantly your question is answered. So
mm.
there's no like wandering around or Googling on internet,
Yeah,
trying to navigate through your ATO website,
yeah,
and that's what you need. Like, I think there is a price you pay for a fantastic advisor. So there is obviously your cost will go up if you do go for that premium kind of service where you want all your stress to be taken away.
yes,
Then I've always noticed that the benefits outweighs the cost. Because
mm,
as an accountant, I know your ins and out. And not because I met you once in a year, I
mm,
meet you every month, either via
mm.
email, Zoom, or whatever. I'm
Mhm.
meeting you. I exactly know what's happening in your business.
Business, yeah,
And we usually work with only small amount of clients.
mhm,
So it's not very easy to just work with me. I work very closely with my clients. So we have a very small number of clients.
yeah,
I'm more passionate towards what I can add value before I can charge. So if I cannot add value to a client, I usually tell them that, look, I don't think I can add value. But if I can add value, I would, and I will
yeah,
choose them as my client.
yeah,
And another reason we have found is a lot of accountants are stressed out. They don't have the time to give to their client, just listen to them,
yeah,
whatever the thing is. So working with small number of clients, we treat our clients as humans, not just a number on database that, we have to deal with them once a year. It's more like a human approach. We have psychologists, we have speech talking to about human resource constraints, talking to us about how do I, manage employees, or how do you, reduce cost and all that stuff. So we are
mm,
quite familiar with the struggles.
mm,
Even if I can't help them, I
yeah,
would say, okay, I'm listening to it. Let me see what my other clients are doing, and let's just, mediate and see if we can find solution for each other.
yeah. And that's great to be able to use your clients as a source of resources as well
Mm.
for each other, and to be
Mm.
able to learn from those experiences and share that knowledge. I think that that also is another aspect where I don't see that often
Yeah.
with accountants. I don't see that relationship building. And like you said, that once a year visit
Yeah.
at the end of the financial year, that's normally the standard process.
Exactly.
Whereas the way that you've described that, of being in contact once a month, once a quarter,
Mm.
understanding the ins and outs and the intricacies of their specific business and how that works, does definitely leave you with a feeling of, okay, Arpana understands what I'm going through. She knows what's happening, and you can definitely feel more confident moving
Yes.
forward as well with your business and the decisions that you're making.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that really adds value to lot of things that, sometimes we can't understand or something like that. And I do have with God's gift, I do have the capability to explain a lot of things in plain English. So I don't use any jargon. I just say, okay, this, and this, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day a client emailed and she goes, so I've done this. And I said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And that's what they want to hear, because they are so busy at looking after their own patients and trying to run their clinic. They just need to go, okay, I know, I'll send it to Arpana's team, it will be taken care. And if we need information, we just send a gentle email that, okay, we need the information.
Yeah.
We do train our clients so that the processes are standard.
Yes.
Because educating, a lot of people say sometimes clients don't do things, but we believe in education, not only for our team, but we also educate our clients that if you start doing this, a lot of processes, unnecessary processes will be cut, and we can be more efficient. Yeah.
And everybody wants that efficiency,
right? That's
to reduce the amount of hands-on time with those types of tasks.
Exactly.
Is a godsend. So that's fantastic to hear, the detail that you've gone through and the way that you've mapped out that process for your clients to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Arpana, I know that there's, our audience are going to really just lap all of this up because it's so useful and so relevant to many of them. So thank you so much for sharing all of this.
No problem.
But before we go, and we've gone through those 5 fatal mistakes, is there any other pearls of wisdom that you wanted to leave our audience with?
I think the only thing I usually say to people is keep your focus on the dollars, not on the cents. Have a plan behind your dreams, and just have the right set of advisors, because once you have the right team behind you, it is pretty easy to scale your business. You don't have to struggle all the way. You can just scale your business with the right team, because your team, whether it's external or internal, they will promote your growth to a level even beyond your expectation. And I'm only giving this maybe advice or suggestion or whatever, because I have done it myself. I have scaled my business from zero, from 6-figure to 7-figure. So I know how it's done. As an entrepreneur or as a business owner, when we first started our business, it's like a little baby and we have control issues. I mean, right?
We do.
We do, right? And we think we are the masters of all the trades in the business.
Yeah.
When that bubble busted for me, I realized I was the biggest roadblock for my own business. Because that's when I realized to scale a business, you need to have people that will compensate your weakness or compensate what you don't have, right? So I'm very much into education and building team. So have the right team, focus on the dollars, not on the cents, how much you are paying them, because whatever you're paying them, they are going to bring double the value, right? Yeah. So you have to, if you are thinking of scaling from 6-figure to a 7-figure, I suggest focus on those things, building a team.
Yeah. Really, really important advice. Thank you. I think, again, the way that you frame that of focusing on the dollars and looking at it from the perspective of what are they going to bring as a team member to your business, and the growth being exponential from that as well is, again, something I think that we tend to not think about enough, and realize the impact of our own fears and our own inhibitions of holding on so tightly, and that control freakness within us, of thinking that we have to do everything, we are responsible. And that's, like you said, holding you, it's held you back. You've realized that, and it holds so many of us back. I know that's been, my case over the years with business as well.
Yeah.
But there's so much value from people who are experts in those other areas that we can
Correct.
get. Yeah.
Correct. And, I've been holding my business for the last 6-7 years. And then last 3 years when I started making change, I just realized that you have to accept your weakness and appreciate and then do something about it. So your weakness turns into strength. And now it took me 2 years to build this team, but we have built. And I know that they know me. I know I'm visionary. They are integrators. They know their place. They know how fast I will run.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just like ignore me, and sometimes they're like, oh, okay, I should calm down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Picking the right team members that understand
Exactly.
you and can work with you.
Yeah, and realizing that you are sometimes the obstacle or roadblock, because we are so I wouldn't say egoist, but we are so what do you call it? We are so ingrained in our own business and attached. Yes, we are so attached. We don't want to let go of our baby and let them walk by themselves.
Yeah.
And that realization really took me a long time.
Absolutely. And hopefully this little piece of advice will spark something in our audience listening out there. If this is you, remember that you might be the obstacle standing in your own path to success and growth. And it's time for change and building that team that's going to support you and the vision that you have. Yeah.
Absolutely. Have that business, have that wealth, have that peaceful life. Just enjoy your life.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you again, Arpana, for all your expertise and for being so open and generous with your sharing today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you for being a listener on the podcast. I hope that you've gotten value from today's podcast episode. Remember, hit subscribe so you get notified every Wednesday when a new podcast episode hits the stands. If you know 2 to 3 people, please do share this podcast with them. Our goal, as I said, is to help as many business owners as we can streamline and automate their marketing. Until next week, my friends, happy marketing.